And another check-in, y'all. That's right. That's right. That's how we do it. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood, and I am a little over 28 hours, 28 hours of fasting in this week's fast. And I'm feeling a lot hungrier than I normally do. Yeah. There were so many things that were around me today, and I'm not sure what was going on, but it seems like everywhere I turned, there was food. And so I just wanted to spend some time talking a little bit about hunger. And actually, as I was preparing for the discussion about hunger, I was seemingly getting hungrier. So if you're out there, I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level, y'all. And in this year, new year, new you, I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes. Our goal is to put diabetes in remission, reverse diabetes, get you off of diabetes medication, help you to live that life you've always wanted, and avoid complications. If you're out there, I'm glad that you're here. Glad that you get a chance to hang out with me. You know how we do it. I've got my stuff set up. I've got my monitors over here waiting to see what my blood sugars are after 28 hours of fasting. I've got my charts and my reports so we can see what's been going on over the last couple of weeks. And so you can see what's been going on since we saw you last for our check-in last week, y'all. But tonight we're talking a bit about hunger, right? And I am hungry. I'm hungry, right? The question is, am I hungry? Am I really hungry? And what is hunger? How does hunger work? And all that we're going to be talking about here in just a minute. I see that I've got some folks over on, well, one person over there on Instagram. Hello, thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us. If you're there, go ahead and hit us up, say hello, let us know that you are out there. So let's hop to it. Y'all. So hunger. So have you ever been in a situation where, you've been going through the day, maybe even the night, and you haven't eaten anything really, or you had something a couple of hours ago, and all of a sudden you start to get that feeling, that growling feeling in the stomach. And oftentimes we feel that and we're like, oh man, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go get something to eat. In fact, I was talking to someone today in the office, and we had a conversation about this very thing, because when we feel that growling, when we hear that growling, in fact, if I could put the mic up to my stomach right now, you'd hear it growling, and we say, okay, I'm hungry. Well, so what's the difference between hunger and appetite? What's the difference between hunger and appetite? As a matter of fact, this person I was talking to said, she's heard the phrase, or she said to family members or to grandchildren, you have a great appetite. Well, what does that really mean? What does it really mean? So hunger is a complex physiologic thing, right? It encompasses some psychological issues, so psychological feelings, and it also has some physical feelings. But to be honest, hunger is supposed to be the body letting us know that it needs energy. Right. The hunger is supposed to be the body's signal that it needs energy. So when the energy levels in the body begin to drop, glucose, right? Because that's what we're talking about. When those glucose levels start to go down, then the body sends a signal to the brain, to the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus says, hey, we got to go get more energy, and it releases ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, and ghrelin gets to working. Right? So that's what the normal process is. Well, here's the thing. Often that process is dysregulated because of our metabolic syndrome. So that when we have diabetes, for example, or insulin resistance, as an example, right? And all of these are just gradations of the same thing, right? So a person who is diabetic has gotten a blood sugar that's higher than someone who's pre-diabetic, who has a sugar that's higher than someone who is insulin resistant or obese, right? And so on and so forth. So it's just a gradation, just a progression of one thing into the other. So if we have someone who has diabetes or pre-diabetes, they're insulin resistant, what's happening is that their body can't use the insulin effectively. So if you're diabetic, your blood sugars are high because for some reason those blood sugars can't get into the cell. Well, the cell thinks it's starving. And so what does it make you do? It makes you go out and it makes you eat because it figures if I can just get the blood sugars higher, then I'm going to get some of that energy and I'll be able to function. Right. So in diabetes and in prediabetes and metabolic syndrome and so forth, then there's that dysregulation between the hunger, right, true hunger, and what we now feel or what we now understand or what we now interpret as hunger. So there are a lot of factors that come into hunger, right? So there are the nutritional factors, there are habits, there are emotions. And we've talked here, right? I've got to say it. We've talked about the heat model. And the heat model really drives a lot of our appetite, right? Because it's lunchtime. So we're going to eat, or we're happy or sad or angry or frustrated or bored or tired. So we're going to eat. Or we walk by the pantry, we walk by the kitchen, and there it is. We're going to eat. And then, of course, there's that taste. Oh, man, I love how that thing tastes, and I just want to get me some of that, right? In fact, right, on the background of this picture is one of my favorite things. That's pizza, right? And I see Steve hanging out there. Hey, Steve, how you doing, man? Steve says hello. And so if Steve right now calls me up and say, hey, Dr. Wood, I got some pizza over here. You know what I'm doing, Steve? I'm coming because I love me some pizza. Steve is saying hello. Okay. So pizza, hot dog, Chinese food. That's my three things right there, right? Because I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn, East Flatbush. And I love that stuff, right? I love how it tastes. So as we're talking about hunger, right, it's this multifactorial combination of biological and psychological and sociological and philosophical. There are all these things that just kind of come into play. And so sometimes we think, oh, I'm hungry, but we're actually not necessarily hungry. It's just that everything is coming to play. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of our numbers. Steve says, I'm on top of the world. Hey, Steve. All right. So let's take a look at some of our numbers. And right there, you see that my Libre says that my blood sugar is 74. Actually, so I'm going out of order, right? Let me back up. So no, like we normally do. Let's go through. So we're going to talk about how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. First, let's start there. So physically, I am not tired. I'm not lightheaded, dizzy, all those things that we talk about as we relate it to fasting, right? So a lot of times people will have those feelings, lightheadedness, dizziness. They feel more fatigued. I don't have any of that. I was well rested as I came into the fast. And as I've said before, one of the best things that you can do as you are fasting is actually prepare for the fast, right? That's pre-fasting, getting your body ready, getting your mind ready for going into the fast. So I'm feeling pretty good. Mentally, I'm clear. And yeah, I'm trying to think today as I went through the day, because I was a little hungry, I may have been not mentally having an issue, but emotionally probably. So I'll talk about that when I get into emotion. But mentally feeling clear, feeling on top of it, not having any issues in terms of clouded thought processes or fuzziness, right? Emotionally, yeah, this is the one right here. So emotionally today, there was a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but there was food around me. I was smelling the food as people were making their lunch. I actually went down to the cafeteria to get something to drink, and I've been using, let's see, do I have a bottle? Well, there's nothing in this bottle, but I've been using unsweetened tea, right? This is the Gold Peak Real Brew Zero Sugar Sweet Tea. I've been using that. So I went downstairs to the cafeteria to get a bottle of that because I ran out upstairs. I could have just had water, right? Yeah, I could have, but I didn't. So I went downstairs, and when I went downstairs here, I got off the elevator. I made that turn to the cafeteria, and yeah, all those smells. So today they had pot roast, and they had fried chicken, and they had collard greens, and they had mashed potatoes and gravy, right? See, and I don't even know why I'm going through that list. And so yeah, so today was a little bit more of a struggle, and I think that's because I put myself in those situations, right? So part of what we're going to say here in a minute, I put myself in those situations, and I usually, even on days when I'm fasting, I'll get something and put it in the refrigerator, and I should have stopped that. I should not have done that today. Okay, so that's physically, mentally, and emotionally. Now, let's take a look at what my numbers are. And as you know, we've now been fasting for a little over 28 hours, 28 and a half hours. Because I started at 6 p.m. yesterday on Tuesday, and it's now Wednesday at 10:34, according to my clock right here. So you'll see there, that's what my Libre says that I am. Let's hop over and see what my Dexcom is telling me. So Dexcom says 82. And you'll see the graph at the bottom of both of those. Let's go back here. You see the graph is continually going down. And we'll take a look at a bigger graph here in just a minute when I get over to the actual reports. That's my Dexcom. And then let's hop over and let's take a look at what my monitors are going to say. And so I've got this is my Contour. And here is the Keto Mojo. So let's go ahead and grab a strip out of this one to put into the Contour meter. Oops. And then let's get one and put that into the Keto Mojo. And I'll start with the glucose, right? And then we'll go ahead and do the ketone, because you know the Keto Mojo does both the glucose and the ketones. And of course, let me get my Lancet, and let's go ahead and get a poke, a finger prick, and get a drop of blood. There we are. What do you think? What do you think my blood sugar is going to be on these, right? So I usually do this because I want you to see the differences between the different monitors and the continuous monitors and the So I'm hoping that they're, oh, okay, look at that. So the Keto Mojo says that it's 74. 85 on the Contour, and if you remember over here on the Libre, it was 72, and then of course on the Dexcom it was 82, right? So between 72 and 85, right? 72 to 85 is what my range is. And now let's go ahead and I'm going to exchange this for a ketone strip, and let's go ahead and get that running. But as I normally do, I'm going to keep you in suspense, right? Because I'm not going to let you see what this number is, because we're going to pop back over here, and then I want you to guess here in a minute, what do you think it's going to be? Okay, what do you think that number is going to be? All right, so let's hop back over and let's get back to our discussion. So by the biological basis for hunger, right? So as I mentioned, hunger is this complex interplay of biologic, social, physical, psychological things, right? All of these things are coming together. For instance, in my case, I'm fasting, right? So, and I think at lunchtime it may have been what 12. So if I started last night, 12 this morning, so 18 hours or so into the fast. And there is this social part of it, right? Because my team was eating. There's the psychological part. So I went downstairs and I saw everyone around me and they're getting all this stuff. And now the smells and right. And as my blood sugar is going down, right? Based on this graph that you guys see on the screen, my blood sugar is going down, so my energy level is going down. But my blood sugar is still there, and I haven't quite flipped over yet into ketosis. At the time, I don't think I had. I think I may have now, because I'm not gonna. We're gonna come back and look at my keto mojo meter in just a minute. So there are all these things that are going on, and so perhaps my ghrelin is saying, "Hey, go get something to eat." The hypothalamus is firing. There are these sensations, right? And part of the whole eating experience, right, comes from smells and sights and memory. So have you ever been in the situation where you kind of walked into a place and you smelled something cooking and automatically you start salivating? Right? You haven't tasted it yet, but that smell just wakes everything up. Right? So there are these triggers, and they trigger the hypothalamus. And then other hormones, right? So there's the leptin and the ghrelin and the interplay between those and insulin. So do you know that sometimes insulin will actually come out in anticipation, or it's not insulin, but some of your hormones come out in anticipation of what you're about to eat, right? So the salivary amylase that we talked about in our show on Monday, they begin, the juices, right? All those juices begin to churn. And so the stomach is churning because now it's producing some acid because it's anticipating some stuff. We feel that and we think, okay, I'm hungry. And so we go and we start working in the direction of getting something to eat. In fact, one person said to me that sometimes when they feel hungry, when the stomach is churning, they actually feel nauseated, right? Because those acids are moving around. And so the difference between hunger and appetite. So appetite is our brain telling us, because of all those cues, to go get something to eat, right? So I want to get that cookie, and I know I always use cookies. I want to get that cookie or the candy or the donut because I remember what it tastes like, and I'm anticipating the sweets. And so maybe my stomach is growling because it's not full. It's not stretched. And so we perceive not being full, not being stretched as hunger. So there are all these cues that are around us. And as I said, the reason I believe I was hungry, it was because there were all these things just around me, right? Social, cultural, timing, right? And perhaps I'm trying to think what else was going on today. There wasn't a whole lot of emotional things, no stresses, other than just being at work, right? So all the busyness. And Wednesdays are typically our busiest day at the office. So in the process of going through that, I'm actually not surprised that I had those feelings, particularly in the situation where I put myself in terms of going down to the cafeteria. I think I would have been okay kind of moving through the day had I not done that. But as soon as I did that, then all of those cues came flooding towards me, and I had a little bit more difficulty. And that happens, right? So part of our goal here is not to paint this process as an inhuman process, right? We are human. Yeah. And so we will get those feelings, we will get those thoughts, we'll have those social cues, we'll be frustrated one day, angry one day, we might be lonely, we might be tired, right? So all those emotions, whenever they come, now we've got to figure out how to deal with them. And remember, right, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is our ability to see, understand our own feelings and those around us and use them effectively. And so in the process of New Year, New You, we are learning how to be emotionally intelligent, and how do we now respond to all of those emotions and not have them derail us? Because now that we understand them, now that we know that they're there, we can put things in place to help us out. And we say, okay, so as I was going through today, I thought, okay, I see what's happening, I feel what's happening, And so there were a couple of times I went to my office, I got something to drink. As a matter of fact, let me do that right now. I got something to drink and kind of had a process of dealing with the cues that were there. Right? Because if we don't have a process, then we end up succumbing, if you will, and if that's the word to use, I'm not sure it's the right word, but we end up succumbing to the temptation, and then we get off of our fast, for example, or the diet that we said that we're going to be on, or whatever it is that we're in the process of doing, we get derailed. And as someone pointed out to me in the office this morning, when we get derailed, we feel what? We feel guilty. And when we feel guilty, that's another one of those emotions that drive us. And how do we typically deal with emotions? That's right, we eat, because the eating brings us comfort. So we actually compound the issue because we felt a certain way. We weren't aware, or we didn't implement our emotional intelligence, our process. And so we end up coming off of the diet. We end up breaking the fast. And as a part of that, we feel guilty. Now we have the emotions, and the emotions begin driving the eating, right? And if we're not careful, then we can end up spending days, weeks sometimes, in the process of getting back on track. And one of the shows that we're going to do, I think it's coming up next month, is talking about getting off track, right? Because we're now in the second quarter. Well, yeah, we've been going at this, and if you've not already had this, right? And I've told you several times, like when I was in Jamaica in February, or homecoming weekend a couple weeks ago, I interrupted the fast for various reasons. And so it would be easy for me to be down on myself. Oh, say you didn't succeed, or you had to do it, or life happened and you got off track. Well, no, I made a decision that that's what I was going to do. And then I got back into the saddle, as it were. Okay. All right. So that's kind of hunger. That's why I'm hungry. Hunger and human behavior. So understanding hunger also means looking at how it drives us, right? Just like, as I said before, right? It's a powerful motivator. It influences not just our immediate actions, like right now, but also long-term decisions, right? So, hey, I'm not going to eat something right now, but on the way home, I'm going to stop and grab something. Right. So notice that we're pushing it off. I'm hungry, but I'm anticipating, I'm planning, right? That precognition, that pre-planning. Okay, on the way home, I'm going to stop and get that hamburger. I'm going to stop and get that sandwich. I'm going to stop and get whatever it is. Right? And if we're not careful, then those things can push us in a direction that we don't want to go in. So how do we address it? Right? How do we address it? We address it by coming up with a plan and listening to our bodies. Now, there are times when there is a valid reason why we are feeling hungry. There's a valid reason why something is going on. Either we're not hydrated, or we didn't do a good job of resting and coming into the fast, or we are not doing a good job of doing our electrolytes. But there's some real valid physical reason why that's happening. Or one of the other things is that we have scheduled lots of stressful events during the time when we're fasting. And one of the steps in preparation is to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a fasting state when there's a lot of stressful stuff going on. Okay, so sometimes there's valid reason. And listening to your body when the body says, no, we can't do this right now, that's okay. And so you say, okay, I'm going to interrupt this fast, and I'll come back, and I'll come at it another day, come at it another time, when the stress is gone, when I'm well rested, when I'm hydrated, and all those things that we talked about in the pre-planning for the fasting. And then during the fast, right, making sure that you are not just hanging out at the house, that you're not just bored, that you're not at a dinner party. Right? So don't plan the fast during Thanksgiving. How about that? Or on your birthday or on your anniversary or any of those days where we know that socially food is going to be around, right? So don't plan it on those days. Make sure you're not just hanging out at the house so you're bored. Make sure that the family, if you have a family around you, your friends, make sure that they know, hey, right? And not that you are trying to hamper the social component of your relationships and your community, but hey, I'm fasting today. Right? The family knows. And so they are helping you, they are supporting you. They're not doing things that will derail you. And then be kind to yourself. Right? Self-care. Understand that there are going to be some days, there are going to be some weeks where you're going to start the fast, and for some reason you feel, right, you're listening to your body, listening to your mind, you feel, well, I can't make it through this one. That's okay. Be kind to yourself. Allow yourself the time to say, okay, I can't do this time. I'm going to come back at this and do it another day. Right? That's allowed. And like I said, we'll come back and we'll talk about fasting and getting off track and how do we get back on track and all of those. All right. All right. Let's see. So let's hop over and let's take a look at some of my reports. Let's see which one. Let's start with this guy right here. Let's start. Well, this is one we'll do. This is the Dexcom. And the Dexcom, let me get my mouse so we can highlight a few things. There we go. Okay. So if we look at the Dexcom, it says that my average blood sugar is 105. Actually, let me do it this way. Yeah. So average blood sugar is 105. That's over the last 14 days. I'm in target 93% of the time, and the target range is 70 to 180. It says that if I continue this, then my A1C, so that's the glucose management indicator, is 5.8. So my A1C would be it's estimated at 5.8. Right. And as I said to you several weeks ago, when I got my most recent set of labs, it was a 6.1. Right. So 5.8, 6.1. All right. So let's take a look at one of these actual graphs, because I want you to see what my blood sugars were as I started the fast yesterday. So right around 6 o'clock, 5:58, my blood sugar was 117 to 120. And over the course of the next several hours going into midnight, you saw the blood sugars kind of stayed in the low 100s, 110, 112, 109. And then moving up 24 hours later, which would be 6 o'clock tonight. So I went from about a 110, 120, and 24 hours later, we're in the 80s. So I would anticipate tomorrow that my blood sugar would be in the 70s. Okay. Now here is an interesting spot right here. You guys see that spike? That spike, that's right. Let's see, that was about 7 o'clock. So I came home. All right, so look, notice what's going on through the day. I came home, and right here I took a shower, and right there, what you're seeing, I brushed my teeth. Now notice, and so one of the questions my wife asked me a couple of weeks ago, I think, she said, well, is brushing your teeth breaking the fast? Interesting question, right? Because you see right there, look at that. So my blood sugars, they were in the 80s, and after brushing my teeth, I got that spike. They came right back down, but yeah, look at that. Look at that spike. So so one of the things we were talking about is finding some sugar-free toothpaste. Right? But anyway, that neither here nor there. But that spike is always interesting. And there's one right here in the morning, right? Remember several weeks ago I was trying to figure out what was causing the spike, and I thought part of it was the dawn phenomenon. But yeah, right there. Also right here. Right. So all of those are brushing the teeth. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Okay, let's see. And I see Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer, what's up? Let's see. Steve says, I'm top of the world. Jennifer said, howdy, y'all. Jennifer said, I missed Monday. Yes, Jennifer, I did get your message. Traveled to Arkansas for total eclipse. I did well in intermittent fasting while feeding the grandkids healthy options. Gonna push through a 36-hour fast. Okay. And for a reset. Awesome. Awesome. Love it. All right. So DJ Miami Zoo. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. He said, this is Alonzo. Hey, Alonzo. Jennifer saying hi. And she said, instead of toothpaste, use a wet toothbrush dipped in baking soda. This should stop the spike. Yes, Jennifer, that's a good question. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, just basically create my own toothpaste. I'll create my own toothpaste. I love it. I love it. Love it. All right. Let's see. My four Adams. Hi, Dr. Wood. This is good info. Thank you, thank you. That's over on Instagram. And Creative Medicine Labs joined, and Magician Visuals joined. So thank you guys for being out there. So let's talk about how we do things, y'all. So remember our platform, the Triple E Formula for Success. We encourage, we empower, we educate, we encourage, and we empower. We educate with all the shows, the blogs, the podcasts that we do. We empower by giving you tools, right? These tools, fasting, emotional intelligence, the 5 whys, all those things that you see that we've done over the course of the year so far, and then we encourage with our community. All right, so we educate, we empower, we encourage. Make sure that you, if you've not already done so, go ahead and sign up for our next community meetup, which is coming up next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. Next Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Make sure you sign up for that. I'm going to, if you guys give me just a second, let's see. And I'll put it in the chat in just a minute, the link for that. And that's one of the beauties of being here on the live, y'all. You get to get the stuff, right? Because we're not putting this out on the, you got to be here in order to get the link. Let's see, meetings. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'll drop it in the chat here in just a minute. Here we go. And just sign up for that. Like I said, 7 o'clock Central on Wednesday is when this is going to be. A good opportunity for you to come on and ask questions. I'm excited right here that we get to talk to each other. You get to write in the chat and so forth. But here in the Zoom, you'll get to actually ask questions. We might, not we might, but the plan is if someone's there, we can do a actual coaching session with someone. We'll pick someone from the audience, and we'll go ahead and do that. So that should just have come across, and then boom. Okay, so now we should be in Zoom and in Instagram, and I think let's see, can I do it in any? Okay, yeah, Instagram, Zoom, and so forth. Okay, there we go. And then let's put it here as well. Awesome. Okay. All right. So educate, we empower, and we encourage. And then, of course, as you are going through your, we're going through the year, as we go through the months and the days and the weeks, and we're going through our fasting, remember the triggers, right? The triggers that push us in a direction. So habits Habits play a big part in what we do. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. Habits, emotion, access, and taste. And that is our that's the list of triggers, things that push us in one direction or the other. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. And then our call to action, y'all. All right, so Jennifer said that she's registered. Yay. So our call to action is this. Number one, join the challenges. Join the challenges. There, as we go through the month, as we go through the year, we're going to be having challenges. The challenge for this month is to come up with a meal, right? So make this meal. And the meal should be made out of whole foods. You want to minimize processed foods, no added sugar, some starchy and some non-starchy vegetables in that meal. We want it to be healthy fats and lean protein. We want it to be tasty, y'all, because if it's not tasty, then guess what? We're not going to eat it. And then we want appropriate portion sizes. And what you want to do is you want to take a picture of it, create a video of it, send it to me over at DwayneWoodMD.com. I guess I should put that on the screen so that you guys have that. But it's info@DwayneWoodMD.com. Info@DwayneWoodMD.com. We're going to show those. We're going to talk about them. Send us the recipe for what you do, right? And maybe make a video of you making it, a video of you eating it, or a picture of you eating it, whatever it is, so that we can all share, right? I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to make. Okay, so that's the challenge for the month of April. The challenge for the month of February was to work to be able to fast for a 24-hour period once a week. Right, that was February. And then, of course, the challenge for March was to figure out from the HEAT model what was your trigger. Right, I'll tell you, for me, my triggers are emotion, access, and taste, in that order. Emotions, access, and taste. Some people, yours may just be emotions. Yours may just be taste. Yours may just be a habit. Right? So figure out what it is. And the reason you want to figure that out is so that when they're happening, when you're in the process of being triggered, you understand. And if you understand, then you can make a decision to break the cycle. Okay? So join the challenges. Share your story. Come on, just like Jennifer did, right? And Jennifer came on and talked about not doing the fast or getting into the fast for 36 hours. And Steve saying he's on top of the world, right? And hearing my story from today about being hungry, right? So all of those things are things that encourage each other. So when we hear your successes, then we're encouraged. And when we hear your challenges, then we know that we're not by ourselves. And you're not by yourselves, right? Sometimes we feel like we are, but we're not by ourselves. And that's what community does. And then invite a friend. This process that we're going through, this reversing diabetes, this improving our health, is not just for blood sugar. Now, blood sugar is what we're talking about. We're talking about reversing diabetes. But think about all the people that are out there with all the other diseases that will get better simply by following the things we're talking about here, right? People who have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, people who are struggling with weight and obesity, polycystic ovarian syndrome. All of those get better as you follow the things that we're talking about. And these are ancillary. These are just side effects of just following the plan, y'all. But share it with somebody. You can be the voice. You can be the person that helps someone in your community, someone in your family, someone on your job, someone in your arena get better because you shared with them the link to our channel, shared with them the link to the show. All right, so we'll come back tomorrow and we're going to do another check-in as we get further into this fast for this week. We're a little over 29 hours now in terms of fasting. 12 o'clock is going to be 30 hours. And then tomorrow evening, we'll come back. We'll talk more as we get at the 48 hours and beyond. And then 72 hours, you get to see me as I break my fast on Friday evening. So make sure that you come through. Come through so that you can be a part of that. But go ahead and sign up for the community meetup that will take place next week at 7 o'clock Central. Yes. Okay. And so I am still fasting, y'all. I'm hydrating. I'm going to get some rest. I'm going to keep busy, right? And after today, I'm actually feeling better. I'm feeling less hungry as I moved away from all of those cues. And that is a big plan that we want you to know, that when you are in a situation where you're being triggered, sometimes moving away from, out of the situation can help to calm that trigger. Awesome. All right. Well, y'all, you know why we do it here on the channel. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E, and the E stands for endocrinology. Here we educate, we empower, and we encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, y'all, new year, new you. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you at one of our next check-ins, which will come tomorrow evening. Drop me a note if you're out there. If you see me in social space, drop me a message. Make sure you're working on your challenge for this month, creating that meal, and let us know how it's going. Good night. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.